Alright guys, Persona 5 Reload reviews are up and the game is looking pretty good from Atlas. This is a remake of the original PlayStation 2 game Persona 3 with some bells and whistles added in, some modern things as well from previous Persona games like Persona 5, whole new facelift, graphics, sound, everything has been redone here, and so far so good for Atlas and Sega here. Right now I'm looking on Metacritic and it has an average of 89. It was a 90, but it dipped to 89. However, reviews are continuing to come in. If you head over to OpenCritic, which is just like Metacritic but a different type of competitor aggregate review site, and it has a 90 average with a 100% critic approval rating and a flexing mighty rating as well with that 90 or above. Now, will Metacritic get to that must buy status with the 90 and above when it's all said and done? We'll have to wait and see, but so far so good. Now in these review roundups, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the 90s, the 80s, and the lowest scores, not going over everything, but kind of highlighting what this game is about, why it's so good, and the main points to decide whether you want to pick the game up or not. However, if you're already a big Persona fan, I'm pretty sure you're already getting this, but there's a lot of people who want to know if this is a good game to start out with in the Persona series. This is something as a big RPG channel and fan, people ask me all the time, so is Persona 3 worth it in terms of jumping in at this point? Let's talk about it right here, but before we do, what's good everyone? OJ here, welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my Nintendo Switch RPG videos, live streams, and more first. Now let's go ahead and start off on Metacritic. 89, like I stated. Reviews are coming in though, so things could fluctuate. We've got a 9.5 out of 10 out of Area Hugones, and they say Persona 3 is a masterpiece mainly due to its amazing story. Still, Atlas has managed to improve not only the visual aspect of it, but also every other little thing in order to turn what was once a niche game into a full timeless gem. It basically features the best battle system within the entirety of the Persona series, which is supported as well by a new UI that looks simply stunning. Overall, Persona 3 is a game that will steal the players' hearts both through laughter and tears. So it's very good to hear that silky, awesome, stylish UI is back and ready to go, which I think is an underrated aspect of video games. Next up is a 9.4 from PlayStation, and they had this to say. Persona 3 Reload is by far the best game in the franchise, with plenty of new content, significant visual and performance improvements, fine-tuned adjustments in all gameplay systems, and a captivating story. It feels fresh on today's consoles. Addictive and stylish, Atlas's JRPG is more than just a well-crafted remake. It's one of the greatest games of the decade. Awesome stuff there. All right, we've got a lot of 9s that we will be breaking down before we get into some of the lower scores. But remember, there are 0 negative scores at this point, or even mixed scores for Persona 3 Reload. So that's absolutely something you want to see. So next up is from Digital Trends. They gave it a 9 out of 10 and had this to say. Even if it's not quite the best possible version of itself, thanks to some missing content from its past versions, Reload is the definitive way to experience Persona 3. It's a remake that will keep fans of the original happy while bringing series newcomers a smoother RPG experience built on the bones of one of the genre's best games. So this is exactly what I want to hear. The fact that yes, you can see that there are some deficiencies. This is a good roundup because it doesn't have all of the content from previous versions of Persona 3. There are multiple other versions between the original, obviously FES, and then Persona 3 Portable, the female campaign. That's not there. However, there are some other things in terms of what they do to completely freshen up the experience, and it's built off of Persona 5, obviously how that game is, and adding in the modern sensibilities. So this is a phenomenal roundup from Digital Trends. Now, next up, we're going to go to games.ch. They gave it a 9 out of 10 and had this to say. Persona 3 Reload is a fantastic remake of an already great cult game. All kinds of clever gameplay innovations and an enormous amount of style make this a gripping JRPG that you shouldn't miss out on. The remake of the PlayStation 2 classic is even now a hot contender for the best role-playing game of the still quite young year. And I have to agree, there's a lot of big role-playing games coming out, especially in February, but already these reviews are looking good and the gameplay looks incredible as well. Now, next up is from Press Start Australia. Shoutouts to my Aussies out there. 9 out of 10, and they had this to say. Persona 3 Reload is a confident remake of a truly seminal RPG that cements itself as the definitive way to play Persona 3. It's clear that careful thought and deliberation has gone into every aspect of Reload to respect the legacy of Persona 3 while preserving its timeless charm and atmosphere. An absolute must-play for any fan of the franchise, and a great point to jump in for those looking to take the plunge into Persona. All right, good stuff there as well. Next up, we're going to talk about Siliconera. They gave it a 9 out of 10. A lot of 9 out of 10s here, guys. It's really good. And they said, you sort of think that once the second and third versions of a game appear, one of those is probably the best version of it. Yet somehow, that isn't the case here. I feel like Persona 3 Reload is the best version of Persona 3 so far. So, all right, good stuff there. Next up is from Terra Gamer with a 9 out of 10 saying Atlus did a masterful job with Persona 3 Reload. It's not just a visually appealing game, it's breathed new life into an already excellent title. Those who have already enjoyed this game will feel right at home. At the same time, newcomers will have an experience that efficiently blends dungeon crawler elements with a life simulator. So keep that in mind for those who don't like life simulation and relationships and social links things. This might not be the game for you. However, if you're looking to try it out, or if you can kind of bear with it and get into the core content of the battles and the UI and the music and the everything that comes with it, the story elements, this is a phenomenal game to pick up. All right, we're gonna go over one more 9 out of 10 before we get into the 8 out of 10 scores. This is from Gaming Bible, and they said, whether you're a lifelong Persona fan or a total newcomer, Persona 3 Reload is well worth your time as both a stunning remake and a unique masterpiece. So I think that's pretty much the best thing you can say about a roundup of a game. All right, guys, 8 out of 10 scores. Let's get into it. This is from Noisy Pixel, a site that I really like quite a bit for their RPG coverage. They gave the game a 8.5 out of 10 and said this: Persona 3 Reload is a highly anticipated remake that doesn't deliver on all fronts. Still, it tries to do so with plenty of meticulous care. The added character scenes and new activities make the experience even more compelling, while the modernized visuals and new English voice cast live up to this classic's legacy. However, some of the new gameplay features make the experience too easy and forgiving. Additionally, the exclusion of some elements, like the answer from Persona 3 FES, make this launch less definitive than it could have been. Now, this is why I love Noisy Pixel. They do a phenomenal job of actually knowing their history. Some of these reviewers, they go into it as someone who's never played, which is fine. It's okay. That's the whole point. You know, there's going to be a lot of new players. However, Noisy Pixel knows about the history. Persona 3 FES, that's the second release of the game. Nobody's mentioned that quite before. They just mentioned times before in terms of stuff that it's had. Obviously, Persona 3 Portable with the female lead on there, but then Persona 3 FES has some stuff in there that this game is missing on top of that. So I think that's a good way of breaking things down and letting the fans exactly know what's happening here, because it is missing some things. And if you are a veteran of the series, some of these new things are just making the game a bit easier than maybe it should be. Now, I do think this is a phenomenal roundup from Noisy Pixel. Great job on that one. 8.5 out of 10 is still a really good scores, so they do like the game. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next one here from TRG. They gave it a 8 out of 10, saying Persona 3 Reload is a stunning remake of a must-play role-playing game, boasting fantastic improvements to the battle system and quality of life. However, it's let down on the whole by a couple of missed opportunities, which I think Noisy Pixel and some of the other places have broken down, and we're going to get into a bit more here. Now the next review is from NME, and they gave it a 8 out of 10, saying this: Persona 3 Reload is an exceptional tale of friendship, morality, and what it means to be human. A slew of fantastic stories wrapped up in a glorious gothic mystery makes this an unmissable remake for RPG fans. So it looks overall, Persona 3 Reload is a game that is a must-play for core fans of RPGs. If you love JRPGs, Persona 3 Reload is a game to pick up. Now, I do want to go over to some of the reviews on OpenCritic. There are some scores that maybe I missed on Metacritic that I want to get over here, so it might be a little bit scattered in terms of some of the reviews. But I wanted to start with Gameblog, which I know I didn't read off before. They gave it a 9 out of 10 and had this to say: Persona 3 Reload is an excellent remake that truly modernized the game by harmonizing it with Persona 5. A truly impressive graphical leap which brings new perspectives and brings some new features. The Tartarus still feels outdated and could have benefited from some tweaks, but Persona 3 Reload is still a memorable game and one of the best of the beginning of the year. So I do like the fact that they brought up Tartarus, because that is going to be the contention point for a lot of newcomers or people that have played different styles of RPGs. That dungeon that you go through over and over and over, they've tried to do a few different things to add some more variety to it, but it seems like it's not quite there yet. But even having that didn't really stop it from still scoring incredibly high, 9 out of 10. Now let's get into this next one here from Spazio Games. They gave it an 8.7 out of 10 and said this: we disagree with the people at Atlus and their decision to leave Tartarus as it was, but nonetheless, this is one of the best JRPGs of the modern era, and this remake makes it shine like it deserves. The one for this review was our 5th run in 18 years, and we still didn't feel any fatigue playing it. Let's just hope the devs will include Persona 3 FES and portable content later down the road. So I think that's the problem, though. I think overall this probably could have been way higher than a 90, right? If they included that Persona 3 portable and Persona 3 FES content at the beginning, I think this would have been unanimously a 90 plus rated game, maybe even 92, 93 rated because of that extra content. But because they don't and people have played it before, they say, oh, this is awesome, but it's missing quite a number of things that truly would have made this definitive, real version of the game. But it's still an awesome remake to get into. The next one I want to go over is not quite scored in a review, but actually like a buy, sell, trade, rent, whatever type of review, right? So I think this one's going to be interesting from Vincent T from One More Game, and he had this to say: Persona 3 Reload is a triumph, considering the degree of difficulty that Atlus was challenged with when they decided to remake such a classic. Through a combination of thoughtful upgrades and leaving behind dated mechanics, the title is ready to satisfy the evolving taste of franchise fans while catering to newcomers and introducing them to the world of Persona. Persona 3 Reload proves that you can have both a challenging and accessible JRPG without losing Persona 3's core identity, as it refines the dated designs and systems of the original by bringing it in line with Persona 5, offering a modern take that stands tall amongst its peers. So he did say buy the game. He feels that it's a buy from right there. And I thought it'd be interesting to kind of include one that's not necessarily ranked or scored, but just say, hey, it's a buy, you know, which at the end of the day, it's really, is it a buy or not? Wait for a sale. I think that's also part of the whole scale as well. Now, this is the lowest score, and this will be the last one that we go over. This is the lowest score that I've seen so far. This is from Gamer Guides Chris M. He gave it a 7.5 out of 10, saying this: one of the most esteemed and cherished RPGs of all time returns, smoother and smarter than ever. Unfortunately, Persona 3 Reload deals an incomplete hand with disappointing omissions, stunted evolution, and a contentious price tag. It is $69.99 for those who don't know. Nonetheless, indelible casts retain their infectious social spirit, set to break your heart and burn your dread all over again. So I think this is a good gambit of reviews that we went over. People at the very top, people somewhat in the middle top, kind of more in the middle, which would be 8 so far. And then at the very low scale, 7.5 is by far the lowest score that I've seen. But overall, this is fantastic for Atlus. This is fantastic for Sega. This is not an easy game to remake. It's an old PlayStation 2 game. People think that you just put it into an Unreal Engine 4 generator and graphics spit out something better. You have to meticulously craft every aspect of bringing the UI up to date, bringing the system features, how you're going to do for the voice acting, the content. There's so many things. So I think overall, this was a rousing success from the reviews that I've read and from the gameplay footage that I've seen. So I'm very excited to play the game myself. So what are your thoughts when it comes to Persona 3 Reload? Do you plan on picking up the game or not based off these reviews? You're going to wait for a sale, you're going to rent it, you're going to buy it outright, digital, physical? What platforms are you picking it up on? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Persona 3 and JRPG related content right here on screen. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.